what is Guyans ICT mark? So you can go through the table. Guyans admission number is 1002. ICT is 100. 1002 and 100 means 90. Means marks for ICT is Guyans ICT marks is 90. Good. I think now you got brief, some idea of what relational databases are. So let's look at the details. Now let's look at creation of databases. Now for that, when we have a lot of fields together, there'll be a lot of issues. So what are we going to do? When you are going to everything together, we are going to separating out, right? So that's why when you have everything together, data is duplicated, and then there are a lot of issues when you're trying to insert data. So we'll separate out. So for example, what we have seen here is one example. We could have put everything together in one table. Then some details will be repeated. Now ICT, for example, mathematics will be repeated. Summons details will be repeated, right? So because of that, we are going to create several tables. Now, when we create simple tables like this, when you separate out these tables like this, it's easier for us to, insert new records, update existing records, and the remove records, right? Now, when you are trying to do this, the removing of, the same data, we can remove some fields with, repeated data. Now, for example, let's say you have name and address and subject and marks. So what will happen? Name and address will appear multiple times. Data is duplicated. So we can remove name and address from marks. Marks could be put into one single place, right? So that is there, right? Now to understand any further, I'm going to discuss few things. First of all, any table, you have to identify what we call a primary key. Now, primary key is the field that we use to uniquely identify particular thing or a person, right? Now, for example, let's take a student. Can you tell me a field which is suitable for primary key? Primary key could be used to identify each of the records uniquely. Let's take a person name. Can we take name as a primary key? Pramudi? Name as a primary key. The question is whether we could use name to uniquely identify each of the person. Can we use it? Let's say we take Pramudi Sirivardhana. How many Pramudi Sirivardhanas are in Sri Lanka, for example? There could be multiple, right? We don't know. So in that case, we cannot use name, isn't it? So we couldn't use name as a primary key. How about address? Can we use address as a primary key? Address, is it unique? Let's say we are going to have a student database in a school. There, can we use address as a unique value? Can we uniquely identify everyone using the address? Is it possible? What do you think, Janani? We can't, right? Let's say there are two brothers at the same place. So how do you can, separate up? No, it's not possible. Can we use date of birth to separate out? Why not? There could be multiple students with the same date of birth. So we cannot use date of birth as well. That's why you have been given an index number in the school, isn't it? Why you have given the index number? Because school wants to uniquely identify each of you. So that is a primary key. But remember, when you take a particular person or entity, we could have multiple key attributes, multiple attributes you can use to uniquely identify. Now, for example, person could be uniquely identified using his or her national identity number, or its driver's license number, or passport. But you have to take one of the fields as the primary key. So remember this. Okay. So what is primary key? Achira, what is primary key? Binu, what is primary key? Yes, can we use year as the primary key for this table? Can we use year as a primary key for this table? Can we? Can we uniquely identify the records? You see duplicates, which means you can't. Should be unique, right? When you say primary key. Can we use port? Yes, sports. Can we use sports to identify each of the record uniquely? No, we can't, right? Because there are duplicates. Cricket, cricket, volleyball, volleyball, football, football. Can we use captain to uniquely identify each of the records? Achira? We can't, right? Jaliya could be seen in different places. Can we use vice captain to identify each of the records uniquely? No, we can't. So you see in this table, none of the fields we cannot use to as a primary key if you take one field at a time. So the solution is you take multiple fields. Now, if for example, if you take year sports together, look at now, we'll take year and sport together. Now what will happen? 2013 cricket, 2013 football, 2013 volleyball, 2014 cricket. Then it will be unique. When you have more than one fields, if you take several fields as a primary key, then this is known as composite key, right? When you take several fields as a primary key, then that primary key is known as composite key. So in sports table, the primary key consists of both year and sport together. Because of that, the primary key is a composite key. Right. So let's start from the beginning. So what is primary key again? Can you tell me what primary key means? Yes, primary key is the field that can be used to uniquely identify each of the records. Yes. primary key. What is composite key? What is composite key? When multiple fields are taken into a primary key, then that primary key is known as composite key. Right. Now let's go back to my first relational database here. Right. So this is student table. Can you tell me what is the primary key for the student table? What is the primary key for the student table? Achira, what is the primary key of the student table? Yes, Janani, your answer is correct. Pramodi, answer is correct. About Binu, yes. If you take name, you cannot use name because we know from the general knowledge that same name could be there, same address could be there. So the only field that we could use is admission number. So admission number is the primary key for this table. Okay, what is the primary key for this table? Subject table. What is the primary key for the subject table? What is the primary key for the subject table? Yes, it should be subject name or subject code. Yes, we can use either of them, isn't it? Assuming that there are no duplicates. But I think this is very appropriate. So we'll take this subject code as a primary key. So Janani, your answer is correct. So the subject code is the primary key. Okay, next look at the third table. So what is the primary key for this table? Third table. Can we take marks as a primary key? Marks. එක වගේ ලකුණු තියෙන්න පුළුවන්ද බැරිද? ඔව්. marks ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? එක වගේ ලකුණු. ඔයාටත් 90යි මටත් 90යි. Can we have like this? Yes. Marks cannot be used as a primary key. Then admission number, can we use admission number as the primary key? If you look at the admission number, you see that it's repeated. Right? So admission number long, you cannot use it. How about subject code? Subject code. Yes, subject code, only subject code you cannot use. But if you combine admission number and subject code together, yes, then it's a primary key. So remember that. For this table, the third table, we have to combine both admission number and subject code to create the primary key. So therefore, we will take this as a composite key. So third table, we have a composite key. Okay. So let's review what we have done so far, right? We were discussing databases. First of all, there are two types of databases. What are the two types of databases available?
Manual database and electronic database.
Good. We have manual databases and electronic databases. Manual databases are difficult and electronic databases are easier, or we prefer electronic databases over manual databases. Yes, why we prefer electronic databases, not manual databases? Yes, one, Janani said easy to analyze data. Yes, electronic databases, data analysis is easier. What else? Why we prefer electronic databases compared to manual databases? Yes, data we can retrieve efficiently, as Janani said. Efficient means it's really quick. Couple of seconds time you can retrieve any data item you want within a database. Whereas manual system, you have to find the file and go through the file. So it will take a lot of time. So electronic database efficient. Prabhupada says it's secure. It's very secure, yes. You persons cannot steal the data. So sometimes you can steal, but data is encrypted. Encrypted meaning nobody can read the data. So there are, some techniques are there to secure the data. So data is secured in electronic databases. Chira? Okay, so next we actually discussed some properties of electronic databases. Now when you define fields, now for example, here when you take a table, in a relational database, we have a set of relational tables. So that's what you see here. So when you take a table, you have a set of fields, and then you have set of rows, and then you have a data type. Now, for example, admission number, what should be the data type we should use? What is the data type we should select for admission number? Yes, it could be either text or it could be a number. How about the data type for name and address? Yes, name and address, we had to use text data type. How about the data type for marks? Yes, Binu, marks. Yes, it should be number, right? Janani, Pramudi, Binu all said it's a number. Yes, good. So then we discuss different types of keys. Primary key is a field that you can identify each of the records uniquely. So we discuss in the first table, admission number is the primary key. Third table, both admission number and subject code is the primary key. Because of that, it's a composite key. So these are the things that we have discussed. The rest we'll discuss in the next week. So please go through the note and come. I will send the note so that you can write down the note and come next week. And those who have not, finished the MCQ paper, I want everyone to finish it, right? And I will discuss the answers in the next week as well. Okay, so that's all then. We'll meet again next week.